obstacles do incarcerated individuals experience behind bars, and how do these obstacles impact their ability to re-enter and acclimate into society post-release?
That's a big question. That's a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, you got to go back before I even get into that. One of the things that I had to do, y'all may or may not know my circumstance. I was prosecuted as a child who's actually innocent with the evidence to prove it. And it took me 42 years to fight to secure my freedom. And so one of the things that I had to do in studying the law and master the law, I had to create a whole entire lexicon to aptly describe the crimes being committed against black and brown people in the American court system. So you're going to hear me use terminologies that you've never heard before because I had to create them. And I think all of us need to consider that because there's a language that we use every day that really works against what it is we say we want to do. We have good intentions, but we don't understand that the language we use, back up again still, American jurisprudence was founded on white supremacy, raw, unapologetic white supremacy. They've codified white supremacy within the language of the court. So on a daily basis, we use terms that we think are harmless, but they're in fact innocuous, and we just don't know it. Some of those words we are emotionally wed to, and because of that, we use them and we say them as if we're saying something definitive or something clear-cut. But in fact, we're saying things that we don't even know. All words have the same meaning, but they have different definitions. And those definitions are created by the social engineers of the society. Whatever it is they're trying to do and have the masses of people be and act in a particular way, that's how they redefine those words. And so oftentimes we're using these definitions and never knowing the meanings of the words. For example, words that represent strength, words like independence, words like efficiency, honesty, those words are redefined to mean things that are weak. And words that are actually weak, they're redefined to pretend like they're strong. And so what happens is, as children, we gravitate towards words that we think are strong, when in fact they're weak words. And then we shun words that we've been told are weak words, but in fact they're strong words. It's not until we begin to study language that we understand that. All right, now, I had to lay that out because that's how I move on all situations. And what you'll see, I've only been out of prison for 9 months, but I've been everywhere in this society. The toppest seats of power and the lowest places of the powerless. And most of the powerless look like me, black and brown, and to a lesser degree, poor white. And I know how they talk and what they're talking about. And they're making plans for our baby's future, our futures, and they're not really discussing us. You know, there's a maximum that says if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And so we on the menu and don't even know. You know? So now getting back to your question. There are multiple things that folks need. It depends on the individual. They may need housing. They may need transportation. I know for sure they're gonna need counseling, therapy. They need, what I used was what do you call a person that walks you around? Like when you was little, they didn't want you to get in trouble, so they would have somebody, say it again?
A chaperone?
Chaperone. You need a chaperone, in my opinion, because that's what I had. I had a chaperone, because I wanted people to let me know, because I didn't want to assume. I was very popular when I was out, but I knew that things had changed. And so I didn't want to make any assumptions about, I'm still that dude. And no. I would always take somebody with me, and somebody like, why she smiling at me? Do that still mean the same thing or something different? You know what I'm saying? And I was very cautious at first. And so, depending on the individual, you'll discover what they exactly need. So it's on a case-by-case basis. But it's a lot. Some people it's a lot less, because I had like a super team, like they had everything. Only two things that really gave me problems. This right here, 90% of the frustration I got was from this phone. And then in intimate relationships with women. Like, when I left, the only black women I knew, they had their thing together. And they was the foundation of our community. Those are the ones that raised me. But watching, sort of like vicariously, so-called reality TV, it's hard for me to watch, because I'm like, I don't know no women like that. Black women are not like that. That's fake. But what has happened, unfortunately, is that many of the young sisters and brothers watch that and think that's how a black woman is supposed to conduct themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's reality.
And right, it unfortunately has become it's a fake reality, but reality nonetheless. And so now I'm dealing with that, and that's like, yo, what's going on? Like, yo, but depending on the individual, it will tell you exactly what they need. You have to talk to them. And they have to be willing to ask questions. That's why right now a lot of the comrades still stuck behind enemy lines. I get phone calls from all over the country, and I'm constantly telling them what to expect once you touch, to try to get them acclimated before the fact, which is what I did. I read a lot, periodicals, magazines, talked to all of the young boys coming in, like, what's going on out there? Bye. I never assumed. Got a whole bunch of great nieces and nephews, talked to all of them crazy, just to know, and nothing really shocked me. It's only one thing that shocked me, because I didn't ask any questions about anybody about this subject, and it's the gentrification of Philadelphia.
Oh, yes.
It is so shocking to me. Like, not the tallness of the buildings, because it's clear that the designers of and the so-called city planners didn't have any creativity or any vision, because they just proceeded to make Philadelphia look like New York. So that's not the thing. The thing for me is how wide the buildings are and how many people who they had to just displace. Mm. You know, it used to be called the Black Bottom. Mm-hmm. It don't even exist anymore. You understand? And everywhere I go where there were predominantly black and brown people, they just gone. And, you know, the few remnants that are left, most of the Europeans walking around like they tourists, but they live there. And then the folks that's missing, you don't know where you got to go in the subways to find them or whatever. And then the few that's left, they walking around like zombies, like shell shock, trying to figure out what the hell happened over the last 10, 20, 30 years. So it's a myriad of things that some sister or brother need when they touch base.